This diagram breaks down how a typical 8-hour workday is actually spent. Look at this slice right here. U.S. employers lose about 2.5 hours every single day just dealing with workplace drama. On a team of 10, that unresolved conflict drains up to $130,000 a year from the bottom line. Beyond the balance sheet, we lose ruined holidays, estranged siblings, and chronic burnout. Think about a time you tried to help an indecisive family member, only to have them delay making a choice. When the plan finally blows up in your face, you are the one being blamed for waiting until the last minute. When our attempts to help repeatedly backfire like this, we are actually participating in a deeply ingrained subconscious psychological game. This diagram, developed in 1968, maps the hidden architecture of these conflicts. It's called the Karpman drama triangle. As long as we remain blind to these rules, we are guaranteed to remain trapped inside the geometry, constantly sacrificing our time, our money, and our closest relationships. There are 3 archetypal roles in this system. Down here at the bottom is the victim. A person in this position feels completely powerless and overwhelmed. They operate on the core belief that they are constantly at the mercy of others, effectively denying their own ability to solve problems. Up on the top left, we find the rescuer. This is the over-responsible fixer who feels a desperate need to be needed. They step in to save the victim, often offering unasked-for help, which accidentally creates a cycle of codependency. And on the top right is the persecutor. This player uses rigid criticism and blame to overpower the victim. They go on the attack, primarily to mask their own deep-seated fear of powerlessness. The danger of the triangle lies in a single rule. Situation determines position. Nobody stays in one place. Watch what happens to the rescuer. After exhausting themselves trying to fix everything for a victim who won't change, they eventually build resentment. When they finally snap, the rescuer crosses the axis and transforms into the angry persecutor. And if that new persecutor gets reprimanded or pushed back against, they instantly retreat down to the victim position, claiming they are the ones being unfairly attacked to avoid any accountability. Because players constantly swap positions without ever addressing the root issue, the conflict becomes a self-sustaining perpetual motion machine that cannot be resolved from within. So why do we participate in this? Dr. Stephen Karpman and his colleague Eric Byrne traced these behaviors back to what they called the script scene, the historical root in early childhood where our behavioral patterns are first drafted. Imagine growing up with a highly critical parent and an enabling spouse. To cope with that toxic environment, a child is forced to adopt a specific survival role, acting out as the victim, the rescuer, or the persecutor just to navigate the chaos. This diagram illustrates what psychologists call the script imago. It maps the inner child's psychological state against outer reality, showing the mental blueprint of our original family roles that we permanently carry into adulthood. Looking at the outward arrows on this next diagram, the transference triangle, we see how we subconsciously project this script imago onto the external world. We cast our adult bosses, partners, and close friends into these familial roles, essentially replaying our old family traumas. This means your most frustrating adult arguments are rarely about the immediate issue at hand. They are subconscious attempts to secure a psychological payoff you learned to crave when you were a kid. This flowchart presents a decision matrix for escaping the cycle. By asking direct questions like, "Do I feel helpless?" or "Am I trying to save someone?" we find that the only way to survive is to refuse the game entirely by consciously changing our response. This is the empowerment triangle, a specific framework designed to rewrite the rules of interaction and break the toxic loop entirely. Look at the bottom axis. The first shift requires moving from victim to creator. This means abandoning the poor me mindset, accepting your own vulnerability, and actively asking what action you can take to solve the problem. Over on the left, we transition from rescuer to coach. Instead of swooping in to fix things, which ultimately disables people, a coach empowers them through active listening and support. And on the right, the persecutor becomes the challenger. This transforms aggressive, destructive blame into assertive, constructive expectations that call forth actual growth in others. To enforce these shifts, you must practice saying no. Stop doing things for others that they are perfectly capable of doing for themselves. And before you speak, run your words through a mental filter. Is it true? And is it helpful? True agency begins with the realization that not everything is yours to fix. By recognizing the pattern, you can stop running in circles, reclaim your energy, and permanently step off the triangle.